Part 109. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1083. 1081. Du Changhe was furious and winked at the helper beside him, saying, Su Keifa is causing trouble in the hospital and disrupting public order. Catch him. He didn't want to do this before, but he saw their boss talking to a middle-aged man with a low eyebrow. Upon closer inspection, it turned out that Tang Ji often appeared in the local news. The other party had such a big background, so in order not to be implicated, Du Changhe directly accused Su Fefa of the idea that a dead Taoist friend would not die a poor Taoist. At the same time, these charges are not unreasonable. Du Changhe made a lot of sense in placing the charges on Su Kaiming instead of Su Kaiming. Changhe, you are ours. Su wanted to say, but Su Kaiming quickly stopped her. He could not protect himself now. Mom, why didn't you stop my brother? Su Kaiming was so frightened that he was covered in sweat. He might not be able to keep his job. Now I can only blame my brother. If he is fine, my brother will be fine. So in front of so many people, my mother cannot be allowed to talk nonsense. Brother, it's them. Su Keifa was not happy, but when he saw a lot of people coming from behind with guns pointed at them instead of pointing at the group of people opposite, he guessed that these were reinforcements brought in by people over there. It's over, he's got a bigger background than him, and he's going to be unlucky this time. Tang Ji saw He Tian and nodded to her, obviously knowing her. The moment Tang Ji appeared, He Tian could finally relax. There is a disturbance in the hospital. This is a major incident that disrupts public safety. You should pay attention to it, Tang Ji said, looking at Wang Haijun with a serious expression. Anyone who can reach the level of director is a shrewd person. Wang Haijun instantly understood what Mr. Tang meant, that is, he was protecting the few people over there. Those who were causing trouble and bending the law for personal gain would be severely punished by me. Yes, Mr. Tang, we must act in accordance with the regulations, Wang Haijun said. You guys, take these people away for me. Director Du also wanted to say a few nice words, and after winking at Wang Haijun, he didn't dare to fart, so he could only lower his head and follow out. Su Kaiming and Su Keifa were also dumbfounded and were dragged out. Su's face turned sallow and she shouted loudly, they are human traffickers. Go catch them. My grandson is in their hands. Du Changhe was stunned, turned around and cursed, Su Kaiming, take care of your mother. That sinister look made Su Kaiming shudder. Su Kaiming came back quickly and took his mother away. If the trouble continued, their entire Su family would probably be ruined. Su still wanted to say something, but Su Kaiming covered her mouth and took her away. He Tian stepped forward and said softly, thank you, Uncle Tang. You're welcome, Tang Ji said, these people are engaging in malpractice for personal gain. I will handle this matter, so you don't have to worry. By the way, do you need any other help? He Tian shook her head and said, thank you, Uncle Tang. It's okay now. I can handle it. Yingzhi should be here soon, so I won't trouble second Uncle Tang. This was a family matter of the Huo family, and she didn't want too many people to know about it before Huo Yingzhi came. Tang Ji nodded and said, well, that's okay. I told the director of the hospital that I will try my best to save them. As for those people outside, I will deal with them. Thank you, He Tian thanked him. Fortunately, Tang Ji came over, otherwise he wouldn't be able to compete with them just by themselves. Tang Ji nodded, then looked at the emergency room and said, I have already arranged the things outside. Don't worry, let's wait here together. Now the relationship between the Huo family and the Tang family is very harmonious, and Huo Yingqi is considered his junior. If something happens on his territory, he cannot leave. Although he didn't know it before, he had to wait here due to both emotion and reason. When Wang's Haijun saw this, he knew that this was Mr. Tang's family matter, and it might not be appropriate for him to be around. Mr. Tang, leave the outside matters to me. I will investigate the truth thoroughly and will never let anyone bend the law for personal gain and go unpunished, Wang's Haijun said. Rather than being here and being suspected of snooping into the leader's private affairs, it is better to investigate it outside. And made meritorious deeds. Mr. Tang nodded and said, yes, very good. A simple action, 3 simple words, shows the attitude. Wang's Haijun understood and said goodbye, thinking to himself that Du would be in bad luck this time. As for Su Kaiming, Wang's Haijun couldn't remember it at all. After everyone left, only Tang Ji's bodyguard was left to protect him. He Tian didn't want to say more, but sat on the stool next to her and waited. He Tian was worried that Su Jian would be hungry, so she took out some snacks for him to eat. Su Jian was still young and hungry, so he took it and ate it. As long as he is full, he can take care of his mother. At around 7 p.m., the emergency room finally opened its doors. He Tian quickly stood up and asked hurriedly, how is the patient? How is my mother? Su Jian also asked hurriedly. He felt that his father and grandmother were both bad people, and only his mother loved him. He didn't want anything to happen to her. The doctor took off the mask and said, we have been rescued, but the injury on the leg was not properly treated before and may leave a disability. As for other aspects, it is mainly due to severe malnutrition. In the future, we will slowly and carefully nurse it back to health according to the doctor's instructions. It can be restored. He Tian finally breathed a sigh of relief after hearing this and said, thank you, doctor. The patient was transferred to a ward with a separate bed. Huo Yinqi's body had been cleaned, she put on a hospital gown and lay on the bed. Uncle Tang, it's getting late, you'd better go back early, He Tian said, just let me take care of you here. Seeing that he was out of danger, Tang Ji breathed a sigh of relief and said with a smile, okay, I'll go back first. If you have anything, you can come to me. By the way, I'll leave 2 people for you outside to protect your safety. He Tian did not refuse, nodded, and said, thank you, Uncle Tang. After Tang Ji left, He Tian said to Zhu's Hitao, Coach Zhu, take Xiaojian and Kui Ying back to rest first. Yuan and I will take care of them here. Su Jian had fallen asleep on the sofa next to him, but his sleep was not comfortable. Okay, then I'll book a room first. Zhu's Hitao carried Su Jian on his back. Kui Ying took some as a gift and went with them to a nearby hotel to book a room. They would come back tomorrow morning to replace He Tian and Wei Yuan. Tian, go wash your face. You sleep on the folding bed here, and I'll sleep on the sofa, Wei Yuan said. She was indeed a little sleepy after a busy day today. Anyway, there were people watching outside, so she could take a rest. He Tian nodded and said, well, it's been a hard day for you. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1084. 1082. After a simple wash, He Tian lay on the folding bed prepared by Wei Yuan and rested with a thin quilt covering her body. At around 3 o'clock in the morning, there were footsteps outside, but they were stopped. The bodyguard left behind by Tang Ji was questioning the visitor. He Tian and Wei Yuan woke up, heard the noise outside, and hurriedly came out and said, 2 comrades, these are my family members, please let them in. Huo Yingjia, Song Chunli, and several bodyguards looked this way. When Song Chunli looked at He Tian, tears flowed down involuntarily. He Tian will be her benefactor from now on. If it weren't for He Tian, the grandson wouldn't have gone to find He Tian, and they wouldn't have known about their daughter Huo Yinqi's condition. Tian, how is Yinqi? Song Chunli asked hurriedly, almost rushing towards her. He Tian stepped forward, supported Song Chunli and said, Auntie, don't worry, Yinki is out of danger. She will take good care of herself and regain her health. As for the leg matter, she wasn't very clear about it. She would talk to her aunt later. When Song Chunli heard this, she was slightly relieved, as long as she was alive. The Huo family has the conditions to take care of their daughter slowly from now on. When she arrived in the ward, Song Chunli hurried to her daughter's bed and couldn't control her tears when she saw her daughter's emaciated appearance. This damn child has been wronged and has a bad life. Why doesn't he know how to tell his family? Although the Huo family has kicked her out, can she, as a biological mother, still ignore her daughter? Song Chunli was afraid of waking Huo Yinki, so she could only cover her mouth to prevent herself from crying. When Huo Yingji saw Huo Yinki on the hospital bed, he felt a little sad. He thought of how when he was a child, Huo Yinki was also a cute little girl. She followed him and her elder brother and kept calling her brother. He didn't know why Huo Yinki became like that, but now that he saw such pitiful Huo Yinki, he felt very sad and distressed. "Auntie, don't be sad. Go back to the hotel and rest first. I'll watch here. The doctor will come tomorrow. We'll ask the doctor carefully," He Tian said, "and Uncle Tang has sent someone to investigate everything related. Tomorrow it's clear what's going on." Song Chunli couldn't rest assured. She shook her head and said, Tian, please go back and rest. Let me be here. I haven't seen Yinki for more than 10 years. When I see her like this, I can't sleep at all. Tian, you've been busy all day. Go back and rest. I'll stay here with you. You guys can come back tomorrow morning, Huo Yingji said. He obviously saw that Tian was very tired. Now he could go to the hotel and rest for 3 days. 4 hours. Tian was indeed very tired, so she nodded and said, "Okay, you take care of Yinki. I'll go back and rest first. I'll come over early in the morning and bring you some food." Afterwards, Tian and Wei Yuan returned to the hotel. At this time, it was already 4 o'clock. Tian set the alarm clock and got up at 6:50. Throwing herself on the bed, Tian fell asleep. By 6:50, although it was still fast, I had enough strength to recover. Tian quickly washed up and changed into clean and elegant clothes. Thinking that Su Jian's clothes were very old and worn, she went to a nearby children's clothing store and bought some clothes. Su Jian was very anxious and ate very quickly, hoping to go to the hospital to visit his mother as soon as possible. "Don't worry, your mother is fine, don't choke," Tian reminded, "this child is too painful." Su Jian nodded and said, "Thank you, aunt. Without you, my mother would have starved to death and I would have been sold." "You're welcome," Tian chuckled, "eat well. We will bring food to your mother later. You feed her yourself. She will be very happy." Su Jian felt a little happy after hearing this. As long as mom eats, she can recover. After dinner, Tian gave Su Jian a bath and changed into clothes. Wei Yuan also prepared breakfast and took it to the hospital. In the hospital, Song Chunli was talking to the doctor. "Doctor, how is my daughter now?" Song Chunli asked. "When can she wake up?" "Your daughter will probably wake up this afternoon. You can give her some light porridge," the doctor replied. "It's just that her legs are delayed, and she is very weak, so she can't operate. We have to wait for her to recover a little before she can operation." Song Chunli was stunned and asked, "What happened to my daughter's leg?" After examination, the patient's leg should have suffered a heavy blow. Even if he undergoes surgery, he may not be able to fully recover. "Please be mentally prepared," the doctor said. He examined Huo Yinki again and prepared to leave. Hearing the doctor's words, Song Chunli choked and murmured, "What on earth has Yinki suffered in these years to suffer such pain?" Huo Yingji also felt a little sad. He squinted his eyes and saw that his eldest aunt was sad. He said comfortingly, Auntie, don't be anxious. It is estimated that the people sent by Uncle Tang to investigate will send news in a while. We should wait here. Come on. That's the only way it can be. Song Chunli grimaced and slumped on the sofa weakly. He Tian brought Su Jian over. When Song Chunli saw Su Jian, she couldn't help crying again. Good boy, come here and let grandma take a look. Song Chunli took out the handkerchief and wiped her tears. This is her daughter's son. If it weren't for this child, her daughter would really die. Su Jian was a little scared, but he found that the mother-in-law would not hit him, so he relaxed slightly and turned to look at He Tian. He Tian stepped forward, squatted on the ground, and whispered to Su Jian, Xiao Jian, this is grandma, your mother's mother, and this uncle is your mother's brother. These are all my mother's relatives, which is great. Su Jian mustered up his courage, looked at the two of them, and whispered, Grandma, Uncle, I am Xiao Jian. Good child, poor child. Song Chunli hugged Su Jian and cried. Her daughter and grandson were both so thin, and their life was miserable. Her heart felt like a knife. He Tian put breakfast on the small table next to her and said, Auntie, Yingja, you guys eat something first. Yinky hasn't woken up yet, so you can't ruin your body. Yinky has suffered so much. I'm still waiting for justice from my eldest aunt. You fell down, but you can't vent your anger on Yinky. Song Chunli had no appetite at all, she was so weak that she didn't want to eat at all. But after hearing He Tian's words, she suddenly became energetic. Yes, her grandson is still young. Yingja and Tian are both juniors. She came here, not to drag them down, but to support her daughter. She wanted to see who could torture her daughter like this. She must pay back double the amount. Okay, I'll eat, Song Chunli said, only when you are full can you have strength. Seeing this, He Tian and Huo Yingja looked at each other and smiled, turning their grief into strength, hoping that their eldest aunt could hold on. Good morning. Thank you everyone for your subscriptions and tips. Oh, mathematical intersection symbol. Mathematical intersection symbol, thank you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1085. 1083. Su Jian stood in front of the bed, held his mother's hand, and said softly, Mom, wake up quickly. Someone has come to save us. No one dares to hit us. Su Jian cried while talking, but his mother did not wake up. He was worried that her mother would never wake up again. After Song Chunli had eaten, she saw the child crying silently to her mother and said, Xiao Jian, stop crying. Grandma will protect you and your mother from now on. At around 10 o'clock, Wang's Haijun came over in person. He Tian did not move, but said softly, Wang's Haijun, I want to ask what kind of injustice my sister has suffered. Wang's Haijun secretly cursed that the Su family were nothing but ordinary people. They couldn't torture people like this. And she is a young lady from a high-ranking official's family. They are really seeking death. Although he was also curious about how a young lady from a high-ranking official's family ended up here, this was the Huo family's privacy and he couldn't say much. Nau Wei was originally a worker in a textile factory. She fell in love and got married to Su Keifa. She gave birth to Su Jian a year after the marriage. Her life was bumpy but peaceful. Until half a year ago, Wei had a car accident and the car owner paid compensation. 30,000 yuan, but Su Keifa's mother didn't mean that Wei was healed, so she took her home and didn't take good care of her. Later, the disease started to develop in Wei's leg. Su Keifa disliked Wei and being a widow. That's good. Wei offered to give Su Jian to her, and she agreed to divorce. Later, Mrsu didn't want to give money to Uy, so she thought. Director Wang didn't dare conceal it. After all, these things can be found out by just investigating. Song Chunli was trembling with anger after hearing this, her face turning green and red. This family is simply not human. Huo Yingji quickly stepped forward and held her aunt's hand, helped Song Chunli calm down, and said, "Auntie, calm down, take a deep breath, take a deep breath." Song Chunli took a few deep breaths, gritted her teeth and said, "I just want to grind my daughter to death, burn her to ashes, and have nothing to share. This Su family is so cruel. Song Chunli is so old and has seen a lot, but she has never seen such a cruel family. What a wolf-hearted person. That's too much." After a while, Song Chunli said again, "Director Wang, let's report the case now and examine the injuries of my daughter and grandson. I want to make the Su family bankrupt and go to jail." Wang's Haijun nodded repeatedly and said, "I will send someone to do this right now." Song Chunli knew that all of her family members were in official positions, and although she had the ability to crush the Su family to death, she could not do so and sow trouble for the Huo family. Therefore, it is best to take legal channels. As for the limelight, what does the Su family's life or death have to do with the Huo family? It was much easier for Huo Yingja and He Tian to have Song Chunli make the decision. "Yingja, go call your grandfather, grandmother, and uncle to reassure them," He Tian reminded. "It is estimated that the elders in the family did not sleep last night. By the way, Yingja, go and call your grandfather, grandmother, and uncle," Song Chunli said hurriedly, wiping tears from the corners of her eyes. Back then, Yinki was the youngest child in the family and a girl. Her grandfather and my grandmother loved her very much, but she didn't expect her indiscriminate nature to be exploited and harm the Huo family. But it makes me feel bad to see her like this. Before having children, He Tian might not fully understand Song Chunli's feelings. But now she is a mother of 3 children. Huo Ruiman is her only daughter. Even if she makes a mistake and no one in the world forgives her, she, as a mother, will still do her best to protect her. This is a mother's instinct. "Auntie, I understand you," He Tian said. "Life is the best teacher. After so many experiences, I believe Yinki will definitely learn a lot." "I hope so," Song Chunli said. "As the old saying goes, you will gain wisdom after you have suffered a loss. She has suffered so much, and she can also gain wisdom?" "I will," He Tian comforted him. Unless he was a fool, anyone with a normal mind would learn his lesson. After a while, He Tian said, "Yingja, take your eldest aunt to the hotel to rest. I have already opened a room for your eldest aunt." "I don't want to go back," Song Chunli shook her head. She was just worried that her daughter wouldn't wake up. Huo Yingji comforted, "Auntie, you go back and rest first. When Yinki wakes up, Tian will call us." "Yes, eldest aunt, you have to take care of yourself," He Tian said, trying to persuade eldest aunt to leave. Song Chunli thought about it and realized that this would not be solved in a short time, so she nodded and said, "Okay, so as not to worry you, I'd better go back and rest. As soon as Yinki wakes up, call me as soon as possible." "Yes, I will, eldest aunt," He Tian said. "Yingja, you send eldest aunt there." "Okay, I'm going to take a shower and get dressed," Huo Yingja said, taking the room card from He Tian. After Huo Yingja and Song Chunli left, He Tian and Su Jian accompanied Huo Yingki. Wei Yuan also bought the lunch meal from outside. At around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Su Jian fell asleep next to his mother. He Tian also leaned on the sofa and squinted for a while, and suddenly heard Su Jian's exclamation. Mom, are you awake?" Su Jian said excitedly, holding his mother's hand tightly. The woman's big, deep-set eyes turned to look at Su Jian, and she tried her best to smile. "Xiao Jian." His voice was hoarse, which was due to not drinking water for several days. He Tian would feed her some water every hour, so she could still speak now. He Tian hurriedly pressed the button on the bedside to inform the doctor and nurse that the patient had woken up. Huo Yingqi saw He Tian, widened her eyes, and said, You. Mom, this is my aunt Su Jian said, I went to find my aunt to save us. Grandma and Dad will never beat us again. Mom, are you hungry? There is porridge in the thermos. Xiao Jian will feed you. At this time, Huo Yingqi couldn't say anything, only tears kept flowing down. These are tears of shame. These are tears of apology. These are tears of surviving a disaster. Yes, I'm sorry, Huo Yingqi said. Since the Huo family had an accident, she knew that she was wrong, so here, no matter how hard it was, she didn't want to go to her parents. Because she was too ashamed to see her parents and relatives. He Tian smiled and said, It's all over, don't think too much. At this time, the doctor and nurse came in, checked Huo Yingqi and said, Well, you've recovered well, you can eat some porridge now. The nurse helped raise the bed, let Huo Yingqi change to a sitting position, and helped pull the small table on the bed. After thanking the doctor, He Tian poured the porridge and wanted to feed Huo Yingqi. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 1086. 1084. Su Jian wanted to take care of his mother with his own hands, and her mother also liked and loved him the most. Auntie, let me do it, Su Jian said, I'll feed Mom. You call Grandma quickly. Can you feed me? He Tian asked, somewhat disbelieving. Okay, Su Jian said, I often feed my mother at home. Okay, try it. He Tian gave the spoon to Su Jian and asked Su Jian to feed it. This is Su Jian's love for his mother, and she is happy to see it come to fruition. Su Jian fed his mother some porridge, leaving some at the corner of Huo Yingqi's mouth. He also took out a clean handkerchief to wipe her mouth. Seeing this, He Tian's eyes were a little sore. Before Huo Yingqi could react, her son was talking about Grandma. Yingqi, you eat your porridge slowly, and I'll call Auntie, He Tian said, and Auntie probably also wanted to know as soon as possible that her daughter had woken up. Huo Yingqi was stunned, looked at He Tian, and asked, Mom is here too. Well, here we are. After watching you all night, I asked her to go back to the hotel to rest. He Tian said, don't get excited. You need to take care of yourself first. Don't think too much about anything else. I. Huo Yingqi was sad, why was she so stupid to hurt the people who loved her? He Tian gently held Huo Yingqi's hand and said comfortingly, actually, everyone is very worried about you. Woo! Huo Yingqi cried loudly. She had done so many wrong things, but she could be forgiven by her relatives again. She would never do anything stupid again. Huo Yingqi's voice was sad, hoarse, and moving. Su Jian saw his mother crying. Although he didn't understand, he cried too. At this time, Song Chunli and Huo Yingji came in from outside when they heard crying. He Tian saw her aunt coming and said, I was about to call you, Aunt, Yingqi is awake. Seeing her mother, Huo Yingqi cried even more miserably. He Tian wiped Huo Yingqi's tears with a handkerchief and said with a smile, Yingqi, stop crying. When you cry, Auntie will cry too. Second sister-in-law, I am so happy, Huo Yingqi said, Mom, I was wrong, I know I was wrong, and I will never hurt my family for outsiders again. When Song Chunli heard this, she hugged Huo Yingqi and said softly, if we know we are wrong, let's change it. No one will dare to bully you in the future. When Huo Yingqi saw Huo Yingji, her face became even more guilty and she said, I'm sorry, second brother. Huo Yingji smiled and said, I forgive you, take a good rest and recover soon. Stop crying, Xiaojian was scared by you. Huo Yinki and Song Chunli saw Su Jian's face covered with tears and quickly wiped away their tears and said, don't cry anymore. Auntie, you talk to Yinki first. I'll take Xiao Jian out to buy some food, he Tian said. Xiao Jian, grandma and mom want to talk. Let grandma feed mommy, okay. Su Jian is young but very sensible. Thank you, aunt and uncle, Su Jian said, followed by He Tian and Huo Yingja left. Only Song Chunli, Huo Yinki and her daughter were left in the ward. Song Chunli felt sorry for Huo Yinki and said, I feed you, and you just listen when I talk. When your voice gets better, you can talk again. Yes, Huo Yinki nodded. Being able to see her relatives again and be forgiven by them was what she had only dreamed of. Unexpectedly, it finally came true. Song Chunli fed Huo Yinki while talking about the Huo family. Huo Yinki is happy for the development of the Huo family. If she hadn't been so stupid back then, maybe the Huo family would have been even more powerful. Seeing the disappointment on her daughter's face, Song Chunli said comfortingly, Yinki, we can forgive you for doing wrong things in the past, but you have to be obedient in the future. As you can see, when you are in trouble, it is your family who saves you. Help you. Yes, I know, Huo Yinki nodded, it's just that my legs may not look good, and I think it will be a drag on you in the future. Huo Yinki knew her situation. She had already embarrassed the Huo family once, and she didn't want to embarrass the family again. Song Chunli's eyes were sore, she held her daughter's bony hand and said lovingly, Yinki, actually your grandfather really loves you. When you were a child, if a piece of candy was divided into two halves, your grandfather would give you the majority of the piece of candy. In your heart don't resent him, at that time, then. Huo Yingja shook his head repeatedly and said, Mother, how can I resent my grandfather? Because of my stupidity, everyone in the Huo family almost went to jail. Even if I die, I can't apologize. In these years, the more I have been in Guang City, the more it's painful, but I feel more comfortable. I just didn't expect this MRSU to be so cruel and want to starve me to death. Seeing her daughter's excitement, Song Chunli quickly comforted her, Yinki, don't thank me too much, just have a good rest. Your grandfather loves you so much, and by asking me to come over this time, he agreed to take you back. You just woke up, go to sleep for a while, and rest well. Let's talk about it later, mother and daughter. Huo Yinki was a little tired, but she still wanted to talk to her mother a few more words, but the physical reaction made her feel very tired and her eyelids were heavy. Although it was a bit regretful, as long as her mother, brother and sister-in-law were there, Xiao Jian would not be bullied and Huo Yinki could sleep peacefully. Song Chunli washes the dishes and chopsticks. Then I went outside and sat quietly. Huo Yingja, He Tian, and Su Jian called Yanjing. Grandfather and grandmother felt relieved for the time being and told them to take good care of Huo Yinki. They also told them to return to Yanjing as soon as possible after the matter was settled. The couple responded one after another. The two wandered around outside, bought some shoes and other necessary clothing for Su Jian, and came back together. Su Jian had never worn such beautiful clothes and shoes before, and he was very happy. It's such a good life like this, I no longer have to worry about being beaten and scolded by others all the time. Huo Yinki is divorcing Su Jian, but I hope it won't have too big an impact on Xiao Jian. But think about it, MRSU and Su Keifa have to sell their children. Su Jian will not have a good life living with such a father. It is better to divorce and live with his mother. Auntie, where are you? Su Jian asked, will you leave Guangzhou soon? Our home is in Yanjing. When your mother gets better, we will leave and go to Yanjing, He Tian said. Would Xiao Jian be willing to go to Yanjing with us? Su Jian hesitated, and finally asked, Mom, will you go back with you? Well, we will definitely take your mother away. You are so good, and we all like you. Besides, your mother also loves you very much and likes you. Xiaojian, will you come with us? When we get to Yanjing, we will no one will dare to hit you or bully you anymore. Your mother can also get good treatment, and I can also teach you how to swim. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1087. 1085. Su Jian was very happy. He had been worried that his grandma and aunt had taken his mother away and did not want him anymore. His grandma had been calling him a debt collector and a wretch, which made Su Jian feel very sad and worried that his relatives would dislike him. I don't want to leave my mother, Su Jian said. I will take good care of my mother. Grandma, aunt, and uncle are good to me, and I will be good to you in the future. Good boy, he Tian praised. Huo Yingqi suffered and learned a lesson, but she also gained something and had a good son. Su Jian was very happy and didn't have to worry about being sold out by his grandma and dad. At the same time, Su Jian asked cautiously, Auntie, can I learn swimming with you? He Tian was stunned and looked at Su Jian's body proportions. Considering that both Huo Yingqi and his scumbag father Su Keifa were very tall, Su Jian must not be short either. If you have talent, you can practice swimming. Do you like swimming? He Tian asked. As a child now, it is mainly about liking it. As for future competitions and career, it is still a little early to say. I like it, Su Jian said, I especially like swimming. I won first place in our school's swimming competition last semester. My mother said that I will be as good as my aunt in the future. Haha, he Tian smiled, Xiao Jian will become even more powerful in the future. When you get to Yanjing, your aunt will find you a coach. If you like it, we will practice swimming. Thank you, aunt, I will work hard, Su Jian nodded. He hoped that he could also become a champion in the future and make his mother's face shine. At once. Huo Yingzhe listened to the conversation between his wife and Su Jian and thought of the 3 children at home. It is true that the children of the poor should be in charge early. Su Jian began to think about his future so early. Auntie, I guess I've finished talking to Yingqi. Let's go back, Huo Yingzhe said, wandering around outside and feeling a little hot. Okay, then let's go back, he Tian said. Now that the eldest aunt has found her biological daughter, the following is how to divorce Huo Yingqi and teach the Su family a lesson. Back at the hospital, Song Chunli was in a trance. Auntie, how is Yingqi's condition? Huo Yingzhe asked, his face calm. Song Chunli smiled bitterly and said, eat some porridge and go to sleep. Yingzhe, how long will it take for us to leave here? Huo Yingzhe thought for a while and said, the doctor will have to stay in the hospital for at least a week before Yingqi can be transferred to another hospital. Let's take advantage of this time to deal with Yingqi's matters. Yes, Song Chunli nodded. Yingzhe, let me tell you, Yingqi and Su Keifa must divorce. Xiaojian is Yingqi's child, and he is also a good child. Our family must have children, and then let the Su family accept the punishment. After hearing this, Huo Yingzhe nodded and said, yes, Auntie, I will follow your instructions. Just take care of Yingqi these days and have a good rest at night. Thank you very much, Yingzhe. Song Chunli said, your eldest brother is not at home, so I can only trouble you with everything. What did Auntie say? This is what I should do, Huo Yingzhe said. If it were him, the eldest brother would also do it without resignation. Song Chunli was a little relieved when she heard Huo Yingzhe's words. This nephew is usually a little cold, but at critical moments, he can always do a lot of heartwarming things. Afterwards, Song Chunli and the guards looked at Huo Yingqi. He Tian and Huo Yingzhe went back to the hotel to rest and replace Song Chunli in the evening. He Tian was a little confused these days. When he got back to the hotel, he took a shower and lay down on the bed to sleep. Huo Yingzhe didn't make trouble with her and rested with her. After dinner, we went to the hospital to replace Song Chunli. Song Chunli took Su Jian and the security guard back to the hotel. Huo Yingqi hasn't woken up yet, so she will feed her some porridge when she wakes up. Huo Yingzhe and He Tiantian were sitting on the sofa. Every hour, He Tiantian would dip a cotton swab in water to moisten Huo Yingqi's lips to prevent them from drying out due to lack of water. At around 8 o'clock in the evening, Huo Yingqi woke up, ate something, and fell asleep again. What did the doctor say? He Tiantian asked Huo Yingqi beside her, waking up and sleeping. It's better to sleep more now, Huo Yingzhe said. Maybe in 2 days, Yingqi will have more time to wake up. Well, I hope so, He Tiantian said, hoping that the matters here could be dealt with earlier and they could return to Yanjing soon. She wanted 3 children. Are you homesick? Huo Yingzhe asked, gently patting He Tiantian's back. Yes, He Tiantian asked, when can we go back? We will go back after Yingqi's body is suitable for movement, Huo Yingzhe said. Now Huo Yingqi's body is not suitable for movement and must rest. He Tiantian was a little confused and asked, what about the divorce? Do you think we need to take action directly on these matters? Huo Yingzhe asked. Such matters are not worthy of the Huo family's action. As long as we make it clear to the people below, we can get a satisfactory answer. I see, He Tiantian smiled, the Su family is indeed not worthy of our war. Yes, Huo Yingzhe said, I hope Yingqi can recover soon after arriving in Yanjing and receiving good medical treatment. By the way, Xiancheng Yingqi in Yanjing has, go back now, in what capacity? He Tiantian asked. Mr. Huo and the old lady were so angry that they directly announced Huo Yingqi to the outside world. Died. The dead cannot be resurrected. I'd better leave this problem to my aunt and grandpa, and grandma to worry about it. We just need to take good care of Yingqi, Huo Yingzhe said, not interfering too much. After all, Huo Yingqi has a biological child. Parents, brother and sister-in-law, as well as grandfather and grandmother, they will carefully consider how to arrange Huo Yingqi. Blood is thicker than water. No matter what Huo Yingqi had done before, these family members were very sad after hearing that Huo Yingqi had suffered, and even forgiven Huo Yingqi regardless of past grudges. Although He Tiantian had no friendship with Huo Yingqi, and even had a bit of a feud, she still sympathized with Huo Yingqi very much because of Huo Yingzhe and the Huo family. Okay then, He Tiantian said. As for the follow-up, they needed their help. People from the Huo family's old house would tell her, so she didn't need to worry too much. Su Jian became more cheerful than before and had more smiles on his face because he had a different environment. His grandmother and father did not beat him or scold him, he had delicious food, nice clothes, and many relatives. Although he is only 8 years old, he also knows that grandma wants to sell him like a vegetable, marry him for his father, and build a big house. If he can sell it once, he can sell it a second time, so he doesn't want to be with grandma and dad. He wants to be with his mother, grandma, aunt, and uncle. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1088. 3 days later, Huo Yingqi's condition improved a little, and Song Chunli was ready to return to Beijing. My daughter's health is most important now, and she can receive better treatment when she returns to Yanjing. As for the Su family here in Guang City, they will definitely follow her instructions, which is better than doing it themselves. Dr. Yingqi said you can move. Song Chunli said, I want to take you and Xiaojian back to Yanjing. The family is ready. Your father, grandfather, and grandmother are all waiting. Huo Yingqi was a little scared and embarrassed to see others. Song Chunli smiled and said comfortingly, Yingqi, don't be afraid, everyone has forgiven you. As long as you don't do stupid things again, no one will say anything against you. Huo Yingqi shook her head and said, Mom, I am already dead in Yanjing. Now that I go back, how will the Huo family explain it to the outside world? Don't think too much, Song Chunli said. Let's just say that you had an accident when you went there. We thought you were dead, but in fact you were just lost. Mom, I can't be convinced by this reason, let alone other people, Huo Yinki said. Since I am a dead person, then I will continue to live in the name of Yu Wei from now on. I don't want to, because I have brought shame on the Huo family's face, and I don't want people in the past to know what I am like now. So Mom, as long as I can live in the same place with you and you come to see me occasionally, I am already very satisfied. Don't expect too much. This. Song Chunli was a little reluctant. What's the trouble with your child? Mom, I know you love me, but now I can't enjoy your love as peacefully as before, Huo Yinki said. It will be fine if Xiao Jian and I live together in the future. Really, Mom, don't be embarrassed. Seeing her daughter's persistence, Song Chunli sighed and said, Hey, in that case, I won't force you. I previously built a small courtyard near your second brother's house. When you arrive in Yanjing, you and Xiao Jian can move in. Maybe and you'll feel more comfortable there. Thank you, Mom, Huo Yinki said. She could no longer be as selfish as before, so living out was the best solution. I also know the pain in your heart, Song Chunli said. It's more comfortable to live outside. Near your second brother's house, Xiao Jian can go to school with Ruhua and Ruimin. He also likes swimming. Send him there when the time comes. Practice swimming. After you go back, you just need to take good care of yourself, and we will take care of the rest. Huo Yinki nodded, a little choked, and finally left the hell-like place in the Su family. It's great to have a mother and care from relatives. Your eldest brother and sister-in-law went to work in the Soviet Union. I guess they don't know what happened to you. We didn't tell him. After all, the work he does is very dangerous and he can't leave without permission. Don't blame her in your heart, Song Chunli explained, not wanting her daughter to. She felt uncomfortable because Huo Yingjun didn't come to pick her up. She hopes that her daughter will get along well with her son and nephew and can support Huo Yinki in the future. Mom, eldest brother loves me very much, I know that. I can understand that he has something to do, and I won't think too much about it, Huo Yinki said movedly. She was grateful for her family's meticulous and careful care. I just want to live a good life in the future and repay the kindness of my relatives. Hey, your child is sensible now, but the price of being sensible is too heavy. Song Chunli was pleased, but at the same time she felt even more distressed. Huo Yinki smiled, very satisfied with the present, and said, Mom, I am very satisfied with the present. I didn't cherish the happiness that was readily available before. Now I have suffered a lot and I understand what I said before. So, Mom, you should be happy for me. I don't feel bitter in my heart. Okay, good boy, Song Chunli said, go back to Yanjing and start over. Don't worry about money. I'll share a lot of money in Tianation's shop every year. Your sister-in-law also has a share, so I don't need to share it with her. Spend the money and Mom will support you from now on. When your dad and I are gone, the shares will be given to you so that you and Xiao Jian can live without worries for the rest of your life. Huo Yinki smiled bitterly. Now she had no capital to refuse her mother's support. After she recovered, she had to make money to support herself and her son. She could not always rely on others. Mom, I made you worry, Huo Yingji said guiltily. He would never do anything like that again, which would make his family sad and bring shame to the family. Song Chunli looked at Huo Yinki lovingly and said, Yinki, you are my daughter. With you in front of me, I can do my best to take care of you. This is what I should do as a mother. In the future, when I am no longer here, it's better to have your brother and your relatives here than to have you here. If I can't arrange it well for you, I won't be able to feel at ease even if I die. Huo Yinki's condition improved and there were medical staff following her, so the group of them directly chartered a flight back to Yanjing. Because Huo Yingzhe was there, He Tiantian wasn't worried about anything happening to the plane. The group returned to Yanjing safely. Song Chunli had already called the maid at home and asked someone to clean the house. The house Song Chunli bought near Maohutong is already clean. This was Huo Yingqi's request, to live outside instead of in the old house, so that her grandfather would not have to explain to others for her. At the same time, she has changed her name and surname, not wanting to bring shame to the family. Mr. Huo and Mrs. Huo heard that they were back and came here together. Huo Jekian went to work, but after get off work, he would come over at noon. Huo Yingqi was sitting in the car, very nervous and a little at a loss. Su Jian leaned against his mother and was also very nervous, but he held her hand and said, "Mom, don't be afraid. You said that if Xiao Jian makes a mistake and corrects it when he knows it, he will forgive me. Grandpa will also forgive you. Mom, don't be nervous." Huo Yingqi was a little moved when she heard her son's words. At the same time, she also felt that her son was very sensible. Although these years have been very difficult, having a son is her greatest happiness. When Song Chunli heard Su Jian's words, she hugged Su Jian and said, "Xiao Jian is really obedient and filial. Grandma likes Xiao Jian very much. When we get home, Grandma also wants Xiao Jian to make delicious food." "Thank you, Grandma." Su Jian smiled, "Grandma is so kind." Huo Yingqi looked out the window with fiery eyes. She never thought that she would be able to come back and see the scenery here in her lifetime. It's just that after so many years, Yanjing has undergone earth-shaking changes, which makes her a little overwhelmed and surprised. "Mom, the buildings here are very high," Su Jian said. "Xiao Jian will take his mother out to play in the future." "Well, Yanjing has a lot of scenery, and I can't wait," Huo Yingqi said, looking at her son lovingly. Su Jian said like a little adult, "Mom, you have to take good care of yourself, eat more, and then we go out to play together." The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1089. 1087. Soon I arrived home, and there were people waiting outside the gate. He Tiantian and Huo Yingzhe came down, opened a wheelchair and sat Huo Yingqi on it, which was good for her legs. Huo Yingqi was excited and scared at the same time. Song Chunli whispered, "Don't be afraid, they are all family members." At this time, Huo Jekian got off work and the car was parked not far away. When he saw his daughter entering the door, he took a few steps quickly and chased her in. Huo Huajekian felt sour when he saw his daughter looking skinny and sitting in a wheelchair. After all, she was still his child. Yingqi, Huo Jekian said bitterly, are you okay?" Huo Yingqi was startled when she heard her father's voice coming from behind. She turned around and struggled to get up, kowtowed to apologize to her father. "Dad." Huo Yingqi was excited and couldn't control her mood. Song Chunli quickly helped Huo Yingqi and said, "Yingqi, sit tight, your body can't withstand the torture." Huo Jekian also said, "Okay, just come back. Let's talk later. Come in quickly. Ever since I heard the bad news about you, your grandfather and grandmother have been uneasy and are already waiting for you inside. Let's go there bar." "Well, it's all because of Yingqi's unfilial piety," Huo Yingqi said, feeling guilty. "Yingqi, don't blame your grandfather or grandmother," Huo Jekian said, "the situation at that time was really—" Huo Yingqi choked with sobs and nodded repeatedly, "Dad, I have woken up. I never hated you, I only hated myself for being stupid. Now I have lived such a miserable life and made you worry. It is so unfilial. In fact, if there had not been a car accident, perhaps the Su family would not have been like this. Alas, everything is fate. That's good. Now that you're back, no one will dare to bully you with our support in the future," Huo Jekian said, "you have to be nice." "Yes, Dad, I have written it down, Huo Yinki said. By the way, Xiaojian, this is Grandpa. Dad, this is my son, Xiaojian. Hello, Grandpa. Sujian was a little scared and cautious, worried that Grandpa wouldn't like him. Huo Jekian felt bitter in his heart, but he couldn't show disappointment in front of the child. Instead, he touched his head and said, "Good boy, Grandpa will take good care of you and your mother from now on." Just as he was talking, Mr. Huo and Mrs. Huo walked out tremblingly. Huo Yinki couldn't bear it anymore, got off the wheelchair, knelt on the ground, and said, "Grandpa, Grandma, I was wrong." Her grandfather kicked her out, but now Huo Yingja has no shame in calling herself his granddaughter. Mrs. Huo's eyes were already red. She stepped forward and patted Huo Yinki's head and said, "I'm sorry for you. Get up quickly and stop kneeling. Your legs are still not good. Have a good rest." Although Mr. Huo didn't say much, he already made his attitude clear. Without Mr. Huo's consent, no one can bring Huo Yinki back. Huo Yingja could only carry Huo Yinki in. He Tian pushed the wheelchair into the room and let Huo Yinki sit on it. Grandfather, grandmother, uncle, and Yinki are back now. She is very emotional today. I will give her something to eat later and let her rest, he Tian said. Anyway, the day is long, and there will be a lot of time to talk in the future of. Well, thanks to Tian this time, Song Chunli said. If Xiaojian hadn't seen Tian go to Guangzhou on TV, he probably wouldn't have been able to find anyone for help. He Tian looked at Xiaojian and said, "Grandpa, Grandma, this is Yinki's child. He has been waiting for me at the stadium for 2 days, which shows that he is a smart and filial child. If we train him well, he can be filial to Yinki in the future." Yes, yes, father, mother, Xiaojian is very well behaved, Song Chunli praised. Xiaojian, this is great grandpa, this is great grandma. Su Jian stepped forward to call for someone. Although his voice was not loud, he was still polite. Good boy, Mr. Huo nodded. You should always pay more attention. That's natural, Song Chunli said. Xiaojian is very obedient. After that, Huo Yinki could now eat by herself. After drinking 2 bowls of porridge, she went to rest. Originally Huo Yinki was not willing to go back and wanted to talk to her family more, but he Tian persuaded her to go back and said, "Yinki, we will have plenty of time in the future, why bother now? You are weak. If you can't recover well, you will be worried. Not aunt, uncle, grandfather, grandmother, etc." Huo Yinki thought about it, nodded and said, "I listen to my second sister-in-law." That's good, he Tian said, helping Huo Yinki to the bathroom, and then took her to the room to rest. Su Jian ate and went to take a nap. Mr. Huo and Mrs. Huo listened to Song Chunli explain the whole process. I'm really angry and sad. But fortunately, I brought the adults and children back, so I can make up for it later. By the way, the Su family can't let it go easily, Mrs. Huo said. Have everything been arranged? Song Chunli nodded and said, it's been arranged. After we leave, Su Kaiming's job will be lost. After Yinki and Su Kaiming divorce and get the family property, they can deal with Su Kaiming's abuse of women and child trafficking. It's enough he has been locked up for 10 years. That's good, Mrs. Huo nodded. People who are such a bastard should not be lenient. Old man, the old lady is a little sleepy, so she will rest here for a while. After having dinner together in the evening and talking to Huo Yinki, she will go back to the Huo family's old house. Huo Yinki has a couple invited by Song Chunli. The woman is responsible for taking care of Huo Yinki and doing housework. The man is a former chef and is responsible for cooking and making arrangements. Song Chunli was also worried about her daughter. Her grandson was not used to it, so she also stayed. He Tian and Huo Yingja can finally go home. It is already a hot summer day. Grandma Wang is bringing her 3 children, and there is a Snake King eating watermelon together. After Huo Yingzhe and He Tiantian came back, the three children stopped eating watermelon and ran over to surround their parents. Things at home are not told to the children, and they don't know. He Tiantian could only tell some things about the competition to satisfy their curiosity. The children ate watermelon, had enough kisses with their parents, and then went inside to watch TV. Grandma Wang also went back to rest. The Snake King whispered, "Did this trip go smoothly?" "It's okay," He Tiantian said. "What about you?" "I'm not bad either. I usually go on catwalks, and when I have nothing to do, I go to attend classes," Snake King said. "I'm pretty good. My teachers and classmates all like me." "Haha, you are a female teacher or a female classmate, right?" He Tiantian asked with a smile. "You are so good looking, you are simply the most beautiful person in the world." "That's right," Snake King said proudly. "I'm very famous now. Do you want an autograph?" The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1090. 1088. He Tiantian shook her head and said, "I don't want it. I've been looking at it all day long, and there's nothing rare about it." "Hey, why am I a big star now?" Snake King was dissatisfied. "You can't ignore me like this." "Haha, I think you're about to swell," He Tiantian said. "Okay, I'm tired too. I'll talk to you tomorrow if you have anything to say." "Okay," Snake King shrugged. "By the way, Brother Tang said there will be a board meeting the day after tomorrow. If you are free, you can go. If you are not free, your employees will probably go and hold the meeting for you." He Tiantian thought for a while and said, "I will go to the team tomorrow. If you are free the day after tomorrow, you can go." "That's good, let's go together then," Snake King smiled. After all, he is also the boss now. I didn't understand what being a boss meant before, but now that I'm in this business, I understand the benefits of being my own boss. At night, He Tiantian lay on Huo Yingzhe's chest, breathing softly. It is said that a breakup is better than a new marriage, but because of Huo Yingzhe's incident, they couldn't be together well these days. Now that I'm home, I can finally relax. "Are you going to work tomorrow?" He Tiantian asked softly, drawing circles on Huo Yingzhe's chest. Huo Yingzhe held He Tianatian's dishonest little hand and said, "Yes, we have been away for a long time, and I also have summer vacation, so I better go back early." "Well, then please pay attention to your health and don't tire yourself out," He Tiantian said. "We don't lack anything now, but we just want to be safe." "Yes," Huo Yingzhe smiled. "Okay, let's rest." The couple slept in each other's arms. Early the next morning, Huo Yingzhe went to work, He Tiantian went to the team, and the children went to work. As for Huo Yingzhe's side, there is Song Chunli. Once they reach Yanjing's territory, there is no need for He Tiantian to worry about it, as long as they visit occasionally. The Snake King went to the entertainment company. Now Tang Qian spends most of his energy on the entertainment company. Fuxi Auto Sales is on track and has been handed over to his subordinates for management. "Li Xian, you're here at the right time. I have an invitation for a foreign show. If you go, I will give you the next one," Tang Qian said, and the reward was not low. "Then let me see," Li Xian said. "He doesn't take every job. It depends on his mood and whether he likes it." Li Xian took the information from his agent and read it over, nodded and said, "Okay, that's it. By the way, when will your eldest cousin come back? I seem to remember that the competition has been over for a few days," Tang Qian asked. "For the first board meeting, it would be better if all the directors were present." The Snake King smiled and said, "My eldest cousin came back last night. I have already told her, and she said she would come over for a board meeting tomorrow when she is free." "That's good. She is the second largest shareholder of our company. It would be better if she is here," Tang Qian said. "For the other shareholders, you are her cousin, and the rest are her good sisters, that is. She can handle it. What's wrong? Have you encountered a problem? Snake King asked curiously. It's not a big deal, Tang Qian said, we just want to discuss the subject of our first movie. This is our first big investment, so I still listen to the director's suggestions. Oh, that's it, Snake King nodded. By the way, Brother Tang, you sign models and singers, why don't you sign sports stars? Tang Qian frowned and said, sports stars are not very big in our domestic market. The Snake King smiled and said, that's wrong. Sports stars pursue higher, faster, stronger, hard-working, positive, and positive images. Some products are willing to use sports stars. Hey, domestic sports talents are under control, Tang Qian said, but you are right. Your eldest cousin is not a swimmer. She is the winner of the World Championships and the favorite for next year's Olympic Games. She does have a lot of potential. Yes, the Snake King agreed, our production department should produce more song release cassettes that suit our national conditions, and the movies should become popular. Yeah, well said, Tang Qian praised them repeatedly and wrote them down one by one in his notebook. Let's say that He Tian went to the team and explained the reason to Coach Wu. Coach Wu smiled and said, okay, since it's a family matter, I won't interfere too much. There are many rules in a wealthy family, who knows if there will be any taboos. Thank you, head coach. He Tian smiled, I will train hard and strive to get good results. Yes, Coach Wu was very satisfied. By the way, there is a charity swimming event in Xiangjiang in September. It seems to be to raise funds for the mainland, and people from our national team are invited to go. This is very interesting. Regarding the matter of honor, I signed up for you, so you can prepare. Xiangjiang. He Tian was stunned. The employer who assassinated her seemed to be from Xiangjiang. If she goes there now, isn't she throwing herself into a trap? However, He Tian thought that Huashan had not been found in Xiangjiang from last year to now, which showed that it was hidden very deep. He Tian felt uneasy if the mastermind could not be found out. Since waiting for the rabbit doesn't work, lure the snake out of its hole. He Tian believes that as long as you are prepared and take the initiative, it is better than waiting aimlessly. It's a bit risky, but worth it. Okay, I will definitely go then, He Tian said, I hope I can also contribute to charity. Actually, you have done a good job. I also know from what happened last time that you have always done charity and you are a good person, Coach Wu praised. I want to do it too, but I have no money. He Tian smiled and said, don't think so, head coach. Charity is not about how much money you donate, but what I can do for the society and for those in need. Your dedication to the country's sports industry is commendable, and so is spiritual charity. Coach Wu was very happy after hearing what He Tian said. If there is a need, just ask and we will try our best to cooperate with charity work. Head coach Wu said that as the swimming team's popularity increases, he also needs to change some concepts. Okay, I'll take note of it. You won't be polite, He Tian smiled. Okay, the game is over, you have 2 weeks of vacation, enjoy your vacation, head coach Wu said with a smile. He was not worried about He Tian, who had good grades and was stable. Thank you very much. He Tian was very happy, finally having time to spend time with her family. When He Tian went back, she went to Sanfan Bridge and bought a lot of snacks. She gave some to Huo Yinqi and Su Jian and took some back home. Originally, He Tian wanted to bring the 3 children over to meet her aunt, but thinking that the children would be noisy and affect Huo Yinqi's rest, she took Su Jian home and introduced them to each other. Wait until Huo Yinqi is well before taking the child with her. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1091. 1089. The first board of directors of Tang Dynasty Entertainment Company opened. The name is very famous, but it is just a discussion between a few people in an office. He Tian brought many snacks, and Yuanhua and Chi Xiao Yan went to make coffee and tea. Everything is ready and waiting for the meeting. When Tang Qian and Qi Jinmin came over, they saw such an office and such a harmonious meeting atmosphere. I don't think you are here for a meeting, but rather like you are here for a party. Tang Qian smiled bitterly. This group of directors is simply incompetent. He Tian saw Qi Jinmin and said with a smile, Jinmin is recovering well. Come on, everyone is free for a meeting today. It's a rare time for us to meet. Not only do we want to talk about business, but we also get together. That's great. Qi Jinmin smiled, I'm looking forward to it. Tang Qian and the Snake King looked at each other. The women didn't want to move anymore. They probably had to work part-time serving tea and water. Come on, we are just a private company, and we are the bosses. We can do whatever makes us feel comfortable. Chi Xiao Yan said with a smile, let's talk freely about whatever we want today. Yes, Yuan Hua said, come on, let me start the discussion. The beauty and fashion magazine I am responsible for has 2 issues every month. It has now been published for 10 issues, and the sales volume of the latest issue has reached 10,000 copies. The subscribing groups are generally those who are financially capable or related to the entertainment industry. At present, they are responsible for their own profits and losses. The sales of Zhang Wenwen's clothing and the cosmetics represented by Wang Ying have also increased a lot because of the magazine. Wenwen, where are you? He Tian asked. The order volume for my studio has increased, and I have started to look for a new office location as a branch. Zhang Wenwen said, thanks to the beauty magazine for the promotion. We have a good cooperation and will continue to cooperate in the future. Wang Ying smiled and said, I am here too, and we have achieved good sales. That's good. He Tian nodded. Just because it's your own entertainment industry, you can't let other industries suffer. Tang Qian smiled and said, it seems that everyone is quite satisfied, and I am more confident to develop our company. I asked you to come today because I want to listen to your suggestions. I want to make a movie here, and I have already obtained the when I get a few books, take a look at which step to take. Assistant Li put some information in front of each director. These were good scripts he had received recently. He asked everyone to look at them and then choose one. He Tian and others took a look at it. 2 of them were stories reflecting the love of educated youths, one was a story about investigating crimes in the Qing dynasty, and the other was a martial arts novel. Let's not talk for now. Just write which one you want to shoot on paper and let's see how everyone votes. Tang Qian said, wanting to see what everyone really thinks. He Tian, Qi Xiao Yan and others followed suit. Everyone chose martial arts novels. Ah, Qi Jinmin was a little surprised, why did you all choose martial arts novels? Qi Xiao Yan said with a smile, movies about the trial of cases in the Qing dynasty are relatively dull when made. Although the 2 educated youth novels are also very well written, it is a bit early to make them now. Although 10 years have passed, the scars left by those 10 years there is too much pain, and many people are unwilling to face those 10 years. He Tian nodded and said, I agree with Xiao Yan's words. Wang Ying said with a smile, although I have never been an educated youth, I think martial arts movies should be more popular compared to others. People also hope to see some movies about justice and chivalry. The martial arts scenes are more lively and everyone likes to watch them. I'm not good at movies, but if I make a movie, I will design novel and beautiful costumes based on the dynasty in the novel. The service in those 10 years has no sense of beauty. I don't like it, so I chose martial arts. Zhang Wenwen said, saying that she was best at it. Li Xian, what do you think? Tang Qian looked at the only male on the board of directors. The Snake King smiled and said, Brother Tang, when you make a martial arts movie, Let me play a role. I am very good at martial arts, and I am not interested in other things. Tang Jian nodded and said, since everyone has chosen a martial arts novel, I will settle on a martial arts novel. Li Xian, if you want to try it and your martial arts is not bad, I will give you the protagonist. Then I'll go back and think about how to perform it. The Snake King was a little excited. Oh my, it's really interesting. I can perform it, film it, and show it to others. He Tian thought for a while and said, making martial arts movies is not our strong point. Why not contact the crew in Xiangjiang and ask them to come over and give us some guidance? Well, when the time comes, we will invite a martial arts instructor or director over there. The plot of this novel is also very good, we can give it a try. Tang Qian said excitedly. It is estimated that the filming will take 3 months, plus post-production. It will be released on New Year's Day. The Snake King thought for a moment and said, I've seen the martial arts instructors from Xiangjiang. Their movements are more exaggerated and they don't have the smooth flow of martial arts. What suggestions do you have? Tang Jian asked, looking at Li Xian. The Snake King smiled, looked at the office and saw that there was still some space, and said, I will give you a set of boxing techniques. What do you think? Oh, Tang Jian was surprised, I didn't realize it. Li Xian, you actually know martial arts? I'm very powerful, Snake King said, just watch. The Snake King studied many human martial arts and developed a set of Tai Chi that combines strength and softness. As the Snake King said, it is like flowing clouds and flowing water, very smooth. He Tianation's eyes lit up and she said, the Shaolin Temple became popular in the Songshan Shaolin Temple, so we can't continue filming. We can film Tai Chi. This is also a treasure of our country. The name must be Tai Chi Grandmaster. Tang Qian looked at the notebook in his hand, and found that it was indeed somewhat similar to the Shaolin Temple before, and said, Tian is right, we really can't make a martial arts movie with Shaolin as the protagonist, we have to find another way, and we have to make up the storyline. The ups and downs. Yes, He Tian nodded, I think Li Xian can be the protagonist, after all, his martial arts is so powerful. Everyone thought about it carefully and thought it was good. Tang Qian made a decision and said, okay, let's shoot Tai Chi, let's shoot Zhang Sanfan. As for the script, I will have someone revise it, and make sure to come up with a wonderful script. As for the martial arts director, since Li Xian knows it, let Li Xian do it, it can save some money. Just save some money. Okay, brother Tang, I will work hard. The Snake King was very excited. He was not tired, but just wanted to try more. Tang Qian's words were exactly what he wanted. Now that it's decided, I'll check the information and make sure to make elegant and handsome clothes. Zhang Wenwen said, make our little cousin look more handsome. Thank you, Sister Wenwen. The Snake King thanked him. It was really interesting, much more interesting than the demon world. After discussing the most important things today, the next step is the work plan and arrangements for the second half of the year, which must be approved by the board of directors one by one. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 1092. 1090. Tang Qian acted very quickly. After the script came out, Zhang Wenwen designed the costumes according to the script, and the Snake King designed the martial arts moves according to the script. The rest was to find a director and actors. Step by step, the progress was smooth, and Tang Qian was very satisfied. Now China's entertainment industry is also developing slowly, especially in the past 2 years, it has been greatly improved under the influence of Hong Kong and Taiwan. As long as the money is in place, everything else will be in place quickly. Originally, Tang Qian was looking for an experienced director, but the director was a little uninterested when he saw that it was a private company looking for people to make a movie. After reading the script, he felt that the plot was not good and insisted on changing it. If he could change it with new ideas, Tang Qian would not mind changing it, but after the change, it was almost the same as the previous old-fashioned stories, so there was no need. However, this was approved by Tang Qian and all the directors, so he naturally could not be allowed to change it, so he changed the director. Everything was ready, but there was no director. How could this work? Tang Qian, let's do this. For this movie, I will use my connections to find a director from Hong Kong, and then we will train a few young directors, he Tian said. Slowly, we will have our own directors. Tang Qian nodded and said, okay. I don't have many connections there. Who are you going to find? He, Erua Hung, the most popular martial arts novelist in Hong Kong, is my student. Let him help the front line, and he will always find a good director, he Tian said, and I used to teach at a film school, so I can find a few young graduates to train. Tang Qian was overjoyed and said, Erua Hung is you students? I didn't expect that you have such a wide network of contacts. That's right, he Tian said proudly, although I can't say that I have many students all over the world, I can be regarded as a model of being a teacher. It's normal to have a few promising students. Haha, great, Tang Qian said, you just said that you want to train a few young directors, which is also a good idea. I'm just afraid that those talented directors are unwilling to come and only want to go to those film studios. It's okay, it depends on who has vision and courage, he Tian smiled. Some people are optimistic about us, and we treat them with sincerity. Okay, Tang Qian also agreed. Tang Qian, he Tian drove directly to the school and found Qin Shuang. Qin Shuang, you are now a senior, what are your plans? He Tian asked Qin Shuang to come out and talk. This Qin Shuang was the directing student who rode a bicycle to carry He Tian, who had a broken heel. When they were in school before, they had a lot of contact. Hey, it's still about hanging around in a film studio, Qin Shuang smiled bitterly. We have to endure in our line of work, especially since I'm a woman, there are even fewer opportunities. I opened an entertainment company, and now there's an opportunity for filming. Do you want to join in? He Tian asked, to see if Qin Shuang is as straightforward as her name. Ah, Qin Shuang was happy. Teacher, can you introduce me to a filming opportunity? What kind of film? He Tian nodded. I'm investing in a movie with others, and now everything is ready except for the East Wind. The director is invited from Hong Kong, but I still want to train a director for our company. Teacher, I'm afraid I'll mess it up for you. Qin Shuang was a little embarrassed. Haha, I'm not afraid, so what are you afraid of? He Tian smiled, we are a young company with a small staff. If you're willing, I'll take you there tomorrow. Qin Shuang thought for a while and said, okay, then I'll try. Can I ask what type it is? Martial arts film, a martial arts film about Tai Chi, He Tian replied, as long as you shoot well, you will get paid a lot. Qin Shuang smiled and said, teacher, give me a chance, I don't need any reward. Tang Qian listened on the side and observed Qin Shuang carefully. She was a straightforward girl. Classmate Qin Shuang, we are training you now. I hope you can sign with our entertainment company, Tang Qian said. Since he gave Qin Shuang a chance, it was to train her. It would be safer to sign a contract. Qin Shuang was stunned and said, Mr. Tang, teacher, it's not that I don't want to sign. My father wants me to go to a film studio. He Tian winked at Tang Qian and said, let's not talk about the contract for now. Let's talk about it after you shoot this movie. Let you see our strength and whether there is a future for development. Thank you, teacher. Qin Shuang breathed a sigh of relief, fearing that Mr. Tang would pursue her relentlessly, and she couldn't refuse. Afterwards, Tang Qian and He Tian found 3 more directors, 2 of whom were senior students, and the other was a young director in a film studio. Because the film studio had no work, he could only come out to take private work. The director from Hong Kong was in place, Tang Qian was fully responsible, and He Tiantian didn't care. He Tiantian began to train and completed the tasks that had to be completed every day according to the requirements of the team. Because of the relationship with the Snake King, and because He Tiantian invested, and because Tang Qian often came to He Tiantian was very familiar with the situation of the crew. Originally, the filming went smoothly, but unexpectedly, the Snake King beat the director from Hong Kong. He Tiantian was a little surprised when she learned about it on the phone, but she believed that the Snake King would not beat people for no reason, and there must be something hidden. In the evening, He Tiantian and Huo Yingjia waited for the Snake King again. When the Snake King came back, it was already 10:30, and there was still light in the living room, which showed that He Tiantian and Huo Yingjia were still awake, so he had to bite the bullet and come over to explain. Actually, I really don't blame me today, Snake King said. The director from Xiangjiang is a gangster, and he actually molested Qin Shuang. Before, Qin Shuang didn't dare to say anything for the sake of filming, but the man's actions were even more blatant. Those words were so unpleasant that I couldn't help but hit the fat man. He Tiantian listened and said with a smile, I know you won't hit someone for no reason. Hearing what He Tiantian said, the Snake King felt much relieved. He likes the colorful life now and doesn't want to leave. At the same time, he doesn't want to cause trouble for He Tiantian. Of course, I'm not a bully, Snake King said confidently, but now that the director has left, what will happen to the subsequent filming? He Tiantian frowned and said immediately, you go back to wash up and rest first. I will go with you tomorrow to take a look at the weekend. Okay, then the Snake King shrugged, the soldiers will come to cover up the water and the earth. Don't be afraid, we will get through the difficulty. After the Snake King left, Huo Yingjia chuckled and said, you are destined to work hard.